welcome back. Ever catch yourself wondering what's going on around here in Fredericksburg? Well, check out the local flavor segment and we're gonna let you know.
Wow, that break wasn't nearly long enough. So we're back with the local flavor segment. How's it going, everybody? We are back on the 540 show, and this is the local flavor segment, bringing you everything going on local. I'm with Thomas as always.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
And like we said, we have a special guest in studio today. He is Josh Cole, candidate for delegate in the 28th district. He's a Democrat, and why don't everybody give him a little round of applause?
Right, yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
welcome here, man. Welcome. Glad to see you.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Of course.
Yeah, how you doing today? How's everything going? That's how we like to start our interviews.
I am hanging in there. Things are going well. Life is good. And we're just trying to help a little bit out, with everybody else's life and make sure that they can say the same thing.
That's
Awesome,
perfect, man. That is perfect.
So it's got to be very busy right now for you during the campaign time, and it's creeping up on the election and everything like that. So you've been staying pretty busy, right?
27 days away, and busy is an understatement.
I imagine that. All right, so you're from the area, correct?
Born in D.C., but raised here.
Raised here.
Both sides of my family, my dad's side, my mom's side, they're all from here, from Stafford County, Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania County. So this is what you would say old stomping grounds.
Old
Awesome,
stomping ground.
awesome.
There you go.
So did you enjoy growing up in the area?
Absolutely. Well, somewhat and some not.
Yeah.
You always said that when you grow up, you wanted to move out of Fredericksburg.
Oh, yeah,
I think
yeah.
anyone who grew up here always wanted to get out. And I had the opportunity when I went away to college. I spent 5 years down in Lynchburg, and I moved back to the area. And when I came back, I was like, oh, we got to do something to make the area a little bit better. Traffic is worse. How can we figure out traffic? I have friends who had great government jobs. I also have friends who were just barely making it by. And so the Fredericksburg area is really the best of both worlds. You have people who will have government jobs and are doing excellent, and right next door are people who are just barely trying to make it by and struggling to make what's best of their life. And that's really what kind of motivated me to try and fight to help people out and make lives better for people.
That's really awesome. Yeah, I actually think a lot of the same things about the area as far as you saying you got somebody over here that's got a certain type of job, and right next door you don't know how somebody's living. So yeah, that's real interesting there. So we got to know a little bit about you there. So what is your biggest thing in your campaign that you're pushing? Like what would you say the overall goal of your campaign is?
I think for me, just when I look at politics and what's going on, looking at Richmond, looking at Washington, D.C., it would seem to be that currently there's an attack on the low-income families and the working class citizens of America. So my biggest fight is to making sure that everyone has equal treatment, everyone has equal representation, whether that be for education, health care, economic opportunities. We just want to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table and that they have a voice down in Richmond to make sure that they have someone looking out for them.
That is really awesome.
That's awesome. And so the 28th district, what all counties are involved?
So the 28th district is only the city of Fredericksburg and Stafford County. So
Wow. So that's pretty.
it's really
But Stafford's so
small,
big,
but it's
Stafford-
big.
yeah,
right?
Stafford's
Well,
so
yeah, Stafford
big.
is giant.
Yeah,
That's
Stafford's
right.
giant.
So
right.
it starts right at College Avenue, and they have this place so gerrymandered. On College Avenue, it splits right down the line. So if you're standing on the yellow lines on the college side, that's where the 28th district starts.
Oh wow.
And it goes all the way
So I
up.
think I'm in your district then.
Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah,
all the
there
way
we
up
go.
to Aquia Harbor in Stafford, and everything East Stafford, and it lines that King George line.
Oh my! Wow. So it's actually a lot bigger than what it sounds like.
Yeah,
then.
yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So once again, we are in studio with Josh Cole. He is a candidate for delegate in the 28th district. Make sure you guys get out and register to vote and vote for him. I was reading that you're big into law enforcement as far as the body cameras and what they get paid and everything like that. Would you touch on that a little bit?
I think where we're sitting at right now, especially since the early 2012 years, there just seemed to be a lot of going on as it relates to police brutality in the communities. There was distrust towards the police officers, and I think what we have to do is understand that not every cop is bad and not every citizen is bad as well. And so when I talk about legislation for mandating body cams for the police officers and dash cams, that's not an attack on the police officers. That's in order to protect the police officers and also to protect the citizens. When we say we want to have body cams and dash cams, I've had one parent who said to me, just because you do body cams and dash cams doesn't mean it's going to stop it. It's not going to stop it. We know that that's not going to end it, but it's going to be able to protect the police officers.
Absolutely.
And when they're doing the right thing, we'll be able to see it. When the citizens are wrongly accused of doing something or whatever happens in a wrong way, we'll be able to have evidence to fight for the citizen as well. It's protecting both sides of the aisle, whether it be the police officer or the citizen side. And I think we just need that to have more evidence. And I don't think it's been mandated in Stafford County. I believe it has not been. And I know there was a push in the city of Fredericksburg to get that. I don't think it's happened as of yet.
Sure.
But we want to make sure that we're protecting everybody. And as it relates to just looking out for police officers, I remember when I was a kid, about 5 years old, I wanted to be a police officer. And I also remember during that time, we had a specific police officer that came through, twice a week just to check on everybody. And so I'm really big on community policing and returning back to community policing. Because if you have, let's just say, Mr. Johnson, everybody in the community knows Mr. Johnson for being the drunk in the community. And you have a random police officer that just comes through one day and he doesn't know Mr. Johnson. And I'm sure, most people can tell if they're drunk or not, but he may not know. And let's say something goes down the line and something terrible happens. If we had community policing and say Deputy Johnson knows Mr. Johnson.
That he knows what to do with Mr. Johnson.
He knows what's going on. He'll say,
right.
Johnson, go on home.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the police officers are protected and the communities are protected. And that's what we're trying to do, is bring back that trust in the communities and that trust back to the police officers. And that's why I'm also a big advocate for raising the pay for our state police and our county deputies and whatever have you in the cities as well. Because with any profession that's going on, whether it be teachers, firefighters, police officers, they're not being appreciated for the work that they do. Our police officers, just like our military, are putting their lives on the line every day.
Absolutely.
And we just want to let them know that we appreciate them for what they do.
Exactly. Yeah, you can't ever go wrong with making sure everybody's safe on both ends, and I think that's a really awesome way to look at it. And I really hope they start implementing stuff like that. That'd be neat. Obviously, if they elect you, that's the way we're heading.
That's right.
So,
Yes, sir.
in the area, I've noticed over time a lot of schools are popping up. So we need more teachers and stuff like that. So I've read a lot about with you in school, and I saw something that was really cool. You said you want to start a universal preschool.
Well, what we want to do is making sure that there's funding for universal preschool.
Yeah.
So what that basically looks like, if you have Head Start programs, I was a product of Head Start. I went to Stafford County Head Start when it used to be in the Alvin Bandy building back in the early 90s. And statistics will show you children who start off education early do better later down the road. So we want to make sure we're getting them started early, whether it be 4 years old or 5 years old, and making sure that that's funded. And many people say, we don't have the funding for that. We can't do that. But why don't we implement pre-K schools or pre-K schooling into the normal schooling situation? You pull them right in with the regular school system. That's going to get them in school early. That's going to be taken care of. And, everyone complains that we don't have enough funding for schools. And that's why I'm an advocate for higher pay for teachers and funding for our schools altogether. I work in the Richmond Public Schools as a behavior aide, so I see it every day. I hear the complaints of teachers. They don't want to complain to their principal or administration, but they'll complain amongst themselves to the coworkers and just talk about how they don't feel appreciated. Or you'll hear teachers who live in Stafford County, who used to work in Stafford County Public Schools, but now they're being pulled into Loudoun County or Prince William County because they're paying them more up there. And we want teachers, not only do we want to pay them more, we want teachers to be appreciated for what they do. And we also want teachers to have a little bit more autonomy to teach the way they are. When you look at everything that's going on down in Richmond with the school system, you have what I'm calling a teaching to test. We're forcing teachers to teach to a certain rubric, and that doesn't really help the children out because they're only learning information to take a test, and then they don't retain the information that they're learning. So there needs to be a reform in education as it relates to what's being taught, how it's being taught, the ability for the teachers to teach the way they know they can.
Man, I've been saying this for years. I've been saying this for years, man. I've been saying this for years, all the way into college,
sure
man.
Being paid well, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's like you said, the teachers are one of the biggest thankless jobs, I believe, out there with firefighters, as far as they're not fully appreciated for what they do, because teaching someone, especially, the elementary and, I almost said into Thornburg, into middle school, into high school, you're you're molding a person into who they're going to be for the rest of their life, and that is so important. And that is one of the hardest jobs to do, and they should be appreciated and compensated, more for how that is. And we also saw that you wanted more funding going towards the arts programs in schools. Could you speak on that a little bit?
So, for those who know me, it was no secret that I'm an artsy type of guy. I play the piano. I'm a musician. I'm a singer. I do theater. I'm a thespian. All through middle school and high school, I was in almost every theater production, every school that Drew Middle School.
What was your favorite production in school?
My favorite one I did was my senior year. We did Once Upon a Mattress.
Okay.
And I played King Septimus. And King Septimus was a mute. He had to pantomime the entire play. And I had teachers and friends that paid money just to come see me be quiet for 2 hours.
That's what arts is, though. I mean, you gotta, if that's what they ask you to do, you got to find a way to be good at
Absolutely.
it. So that's why I've always respected, like you were in a lot of production at school, weren't you?
I did. We did Fiddler on the Roof and Seussical. I only did it my junior and senior year, but I was in choir from middle school on up.
Okay.
So,
and I think what we do is we have to boost and encourage creativity in the minds of children. And every year I always remember when I was growing up here in Stafford County, there was always a threat to pull funding away from the arts programs, the theater programs, or in our theater budget every year, the funding would be cut. So, we would have to improvise with certain different things and how we were going to fund, our sets or
building
different things.
sets, I was going to say, exactly.
And so we have to make sure that we are encouraging our children and the younger kids to make sure they are being creative minds. And I'll never forget, and my mom can beat me up after I tell this, but when I was considering a major, when I was heading to college, my mother said to me, "You focus so much and you had fun on theater and music, but now it's time to focus on something real. What's going to make you money?" And I really wish that I had pursued theater when I went to college because it's fun. You want to be able to enjoy what you're doing as it relates to work. And I think that's really big. And I don't know, I'm going all over the place as it relates to where I'm heading, but encouraging kids to pursue their dreams, whether it may not be college, but maybe it be a trade or a vocational school. It may be going into the NFL or the NBA. We want to empower them, equip them, and push them forward, because the best way you're going to expand your potential or utilize your potential is by having fun and doing something you enjoy doing. And so that's why I'm an advocate for making sure we have funds for our arts programs and encouraging and pushing forward with that.
Absolutely. Well, creative is very important because no matter what profession you end up in, if there's a major problem, 9 times out of 10 to fix that, you're gonna have to get a little creative.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, it never goes exactly how you picture it going, and that's kind of how they explain it to you in schools. Is it's supposed to go like this, and it never goes that way. So it's really cool to see you're showing people there's another way, and they can do other things with their life. So that's awesome. Once again, we're in studio with Josh Cole. He is running for delegate in the 28th district. Make sure you get out to register and vote so we can vote for him and get all these problems taken care of. I know you're big in the LGBTQ community, and I think that's awesome. I think there needs to be more support around this area. So why don't you get a little bit into that and what you plan on doing for that community right there?
So I just remember when I worked in Richmond at the General Assembly, there was always arguments and debates on how to handle our friends and citizens in the LGBTQ plus community, what was considered discrimination and what wasn't considered discrimination. I'm also a pastor in the area as well. And so when I came out to run as a Democrat, I had people who were in the LGBT communities. They were kind of a little standoffish at first because you had this Baptist pastor that was coming out as a Democrat. And we held an LGBTQ town hall back in May. And I opened up and I said to them, on the behalf of all Christians that may have hurt you or said derogatory statements to you, I want to personally apologize. And one person came up to me and said, "You can't speak for everyone, but we accept your apology." And I think for me as an African American, someone who has watched or heard stories of family members who have been discriminated against and watched just different historical movies, I think we have to get past that place, even if we don't agree with people's lifestyles or whatever they decide to live their life out. We should not be discriminating against them. We should not be giving them hardships. Let them live their lives. We can live in peace. And I say it all the time, you know, focus on you. Mind your own business and you do you. And we always want to talk about what people are doing, but why are you in their bedroom? Stay out of their bedroom, stay out of their business, and let's give them the freedom to be who they are. This is America, the home of the free, the land of the brave, the home of the free. Let them be free to do what they want to do. That's where I really stand there. We have to make sure that we're fighting against any discrimination. I remember when I was working for the Senate, there was a bill that was introduced that would allow, and it was masked really, really good. The first clause of the bill was talking about churches and protecting churches to make sure that, say, if a same-sex couple wanted to get married at a church and the church wouldn't let them, that they wouldn't be allowed to be sued because it's a part of their religion. Well, first thing to counteract that is we have the Virginia Statute of Religious Freedom. Churches and pastors are already protected because if that's their religious right and that's the way they interpret their Bible, they're protected that way. But then the second clause of the bill talked about businesses, and businesses would not allow to be sued if they told a same-sex couple or discriminating them against their orientation. That right there is what I disagree with.
Yeah.
You're in business, you're doing business, go ahead and do what you're called to do. Now, what I think is funny to me was the right got all up in arms and got behind the lady who was in Kentucky who didn't want to issue the marriage certificate for the same-sex couple. She was paid to do her job, and they said, let her do her job, let her do her job. But yet Kaepernick is paid to do a job, and when he kneels and he's doing a protest, they call him wrong. So I think what we have to do is make sure that people have the ability to do whatever they want to do within their means. They're free to love whoever they want to love. Let them do it.
See, that's awesome. I like the way you looked at that, and I agree with that. With the
100%.
businesses, that can't be tolerated. So
Absolutely.
we definitely have to get rid of that kind of stuff around here, and we have to get everybody involved, not just what the law says. We have to get everybody involved, and personally, like you said, when you get personal experiences and you meet people, then you really start to understand. So that's really awesome. So I think the biggest thing in the area that everybody talks about, we talked about a little bit, is traffic. Is there anything you think about traffic, and what do you think you would do to try to maybe fix that a little bit? I know it's tough. I know it's tough to get the money to do it and everything like that, but traffic has always been a problem around here.
Well, this is my little shameless plug, if you will. For the past 15 years, the guy that was in the seat that I was actually running against before he retired was the Speaker of the House. He had been in the seat for 30 years, and the past 15 years, he was the Speaker of the House. And you mean to tell me for the past 15 years, with the most powerful legislator in the state, we were not able to fix our traffic issue? I have a problem with that.
Yeah.
So let's give another party an opportunity to fix that for you. One of my big the big things that I would like to see done for this area is creating what we call a regional transportation authority. Northern Virginia has this, and the Hampton Roads community has this. When it comes to transportation, road problems, and different things like that, because of how the area is growing, the Fredericksburg area is the 4th largest growing area in the state, behind Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads, and Richmond. So with that, whenever there's a project as it relates to transportation, as it relates to roads or congestion, whatever, we fall 4th in place. But if you just read in the newspaper last week, the traffic from Woodbridge down to Stafford is the worst traffic in the entire United States. I have a friend that came from L.A. He came from L.A. and he said, our traffic is pretty bad, but y'all's traffic is possessed.
And not only, it's right in this area that's so
It's
bad.
right-
That
it's
stretch
this
that everybody needs to take. Everybody needs to take. If you want to go to D.C., you got to take that stretch.
And so I would like to see what's called a regional transportation authority. What that does is it gives us the ability in this region, the Fredericksburg, Stafford County, Spotsylvania region, to create our own funds as it relates to transportation and keep it. We don't have to send our money to other parts in the state because that's what happens when you pay taxes. Your tax money goes all over the state. We want to bring our tax money right back here to this region, utilize it so that we can get roads. I would also like to see the metro extended down from Springfield down to Woodbridge. I think that's tangible. We can get that done in the next couple of years. And those people who live here in Stafford, especially North Stafford, would just go 15, 20 minutes to get to the metro, boom, hop on the blue line or the yellow line and get right
Takes
into
people
DC.
off the road. Takes people off the road.
Absolutely. I also want to see a renegotiation of the contract with the HOT lanes. There's two issues I have with the HOT lanes. You have charged taxpayers money to build it. There are people who are taxpayers who don't even use it, so they still had to pay for it. And then those who are taxpayers that use it have to pay again to use it. So we are double taxing citizens who utilize the HOT lanes. The prices are astronomical, and some people can't even use it. So I would like to see a renegotiation in the contract as it relates to what times can be utilized. And let's give them what they want. Let's make sure that people buy the Flex Pass. That's cool. But let's bring back the free weekends, or after a certain time, anyone can get on as long as you have the Flex Pass, and let's not charge them. And this is what I'm talking about when I say have a person of, a representative from amongst the people who knows what it's like to struggle and who knows the everyday worry of the people, to put them in Richmond who will fight and speak against these things. And so as it relates to traffic, I want to see a regional transportation authority. I also remember, and I know there was a lot of fighting about this, but one of my big things that I would like to see too, I remember when I was in middle school, they were talking about the Celebrate Virginia connection from 17 and Route 3 in Central Park. They wanted to do ferries over there. I would like to see a bridge that would connect Route 3 and Route 17 in Celebrate Virginia, because that would be a local route for the locals. When Route 1 and 95 is backed
jammed up,
we can go around, cut up Route 17, go across Celebrate Virginia, and
get
pop
home
up over there.
And get home. Yeah. I'm all for shortcuts. I'm all for taking a shortcut.
And so if we build that regional transportation authority, it will handle the cost for that, and we won't have to worry following behind Northern Virginia or Hampton roads.
That's awesome. So it's been really great having you studio. But before we get you out of here, we got to know where can we find you? Are you on social media? I'm sure you're out there everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
You can find us on our website at www.jgcole.org. That's jgcole.org. We have some of our ideas out there. Even if you want to apply for an absentee ballot, you can get it right on our front page of the website. On all social media networks, you can find us at jcole4VA. So jcole4VA. So that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're out there. Hit us up. You can send us a message. You can like the page. You can reshare the page. You can retweet what we have out there. I'm trying to make as many connections as possible and reach our young people to make sure that their voices need to be heard this year.
And hit us with the important dates. When you got to register by and when you got to vote by.
The deadline to register is October the 16th. And you want to go out to vote on November the 7th. And like I said, you can do right on our website an absentee ballot. So if you work up the road, if you're going to be out of town, go right on our website, request an absentee ballot. You have to do that by the 16th as well. They'll mail one to your house, fill it out, put it back in the mail, and you're good to go. And the polls are going to be open on November the 7th from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Awesome. So make sure you get out and vote. Thank you for stopping in the studio with us. You had some really awesome ideas. I like listening to you talk.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Yep. So we had Josh Cole in the studio. Make sure you get out and vote. You heard all the information right there. And we will be right back with the What You Don't Know Outside the 540 Show segment.